I think it's time to talk about AI adoption in finance because it's all the rage lately. Your team's at the center of creating an AI product for people to use. I also know that the finance team in particular is building some pretty cool stuff. What's something that your team has built recently?
Build a lot. So, Vercel is an AI company, and we also have our own tools to build AI features, AI products, and to host them. So we're really dogfooding a lot of this stuff ourselves.
Vercel on Vercel.
Vercel on Vercel. So, for starters, like the thing we built first was a KPI dashboard, right? So rather than needing to use some Looker or something like that, we built a really nice user interface with the exact metrics and the way we like to look at the business, pulling data directly from Snowflake. On my phone, it's like, protected via SSO and that kind of stuff.
You built something that you can access mobilely too?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And now always at my fingertips, I can look at, things that I care about, like signups, new ARR, enterprise focus, net dollar retention. Everything is sort of available. Sometimes you hit and click refresh.
Changing the button colors and stuff too.
It's amazing. So that was something that we built first. And the second thing is, as part of the accounting close process, we built a revenue flux buy plan.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I'm like a super dork. I went down a deep YouTube rabbit hole and I found an old interview that you did. And you said something about an ASC 606 module that you built. That's nuts.
It's actually pretty straightforward.
Is it? Take me through the flux analysis that your team has built.
We basically look at 4 main data sources. So we look at NetSuite, we look at our Snowflake database, we look at Slack, and we look at Notion to basically come together with a cohesive story of like what actually changed from one month to the next.
Time out. Slack?
Slack.
Okay. I've never heard anybody bring that into a flux analysis. This is the next level.
So you're trying to explain, why our enterprise business grew from X to Y, for example. And we have channels in our Slack that would be, we have a list of all the deals won and why. So if you're trying to look at why something went from X to Y, you need to have the context and information for that. So the agent will search all this data and, explain exactly why the flux has changed. We assess it, and sometimes like, oh, well, it didn't get that piece quite right. So it's not like we like click a button and like don't assess it, but it gives us a really good first draft.
Wow. Okay. So you've got the dashboard, also mobile optimized. You've got the flux analysis. I went down a deep, dark YouTube rabbit hole. I heard, I don't want to be apocryphal here, that you also built a RevRec tool.
I actually built this on myself first. And then the RevRec team kind of laughed at me and they built a better one. But the way that it works is you take a dump of all of the committed contracts that were signed in the period and you upload it to a thing that we built. And then it goes through and assesses each contract and you would highlight for each one of them things that might impact revenue recognition, right? So you would get contract 1, super vanilla, straightforward, and it would just be like, this one is easy to review, kind of like a green, easy. And then goes to the next one and be like, this one's super complicated. Like they might have some unusual right or like a delayed start or something like that. So if it highlight that in red and then make sure that the team reviewing it being like, when you review this, make sure that you get this piece right. So it will draft the actual revenue recognition for you and highlight which contracts should be reviewed by a human because there are some intricacies we should pay closer attention to. So again, it's not like we just have agents do all the work and the team is like relaxing. It's that we can be much, much more efficient to make it a much leaner team in revenue accounting as a result of these tools. They can spend all their time focusing on the stuff that is very challenging and difficult and requires human interpretation. Whereas if there is a contract that is very simple and straightforward to recognize, we can utilize AI for that.
People talk about having a human in a loop. It sounds like you're actually using the tool to pull humans into the loop when needed.
Exactly. Like we have the agents highlight for us, hey, you should pay extra attention to this one.
Yeah.
Because it has some unusual terms.
All right. Just to play devil's advocate here. RevRec is very important.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of things hinge on this. Why is this something that companies can feel comfortable building versus buying? Like, even if you can build it, do you think there are scenarios where you should buy something?
I think it depends a little bit on the internal expertise that you have, but in this day and age, like almost anyone can build these AI tools, right? Like I'm not, and my team is not either, like experts in coding or like dealing with command line interfaces, but we've made it so and like these amazing tools out there, whether it's Codex or Claude Code or, Vercel's V0, that makes it much easier for people that are functional experts, like the revenue accounting team as an example, to actually build stuff to help their day-to-day.
That's pretty wild. So the whole finance and accounting team, everybody knows how to use V0.
Yes, that is sort of a requirement. It's part of our interviewing process, and we encourage and celebrate everyone to use it. So we have like a monthly org meeting. So that's basically the entire team, everyone that reports up to my organization. We meet for an hour every month, and like half the meeting is people giving demos of stuff that they built in AI to sort of, show all the people, and, hey, I built this. Here's how I did it. So next time you have a problem in your own field, like you can maybe try to automate that.
How has AI changed how you hire and evaluate talent on the finance team? You said it's part of your interview process. So like walk me through, because I've taken case studies that were pretty hard before.
Yeah.
That was in Excel, and I had to also have a PowerPoint deck that went along with it. How are you testing for capabilities?
2 years ago, a typical case on the finance team was like, build me a model or like do some kind of analysis, project something. Today, that's like pretty straightforward to do the mechanical aspects in Excel. You can use like a Claude plugin, or you can ask Gemini or really any model to build you something. So if you were to give that exact same case study today, you're really only testing their ability to use an LLM to spit out some information. So the case studies today are basically twofold. We try to assess their judgment, right? So the case studies are much more about how would you assess X versus Y. And then we tend to throw a curveball in there and be like, here's some new piece of information during the case study. How does this change your conclusion to what you just decided? And again, there's nothing with like a right answer. Everything is sort of judgment based. So we want to assess for judgment. And then part two is you have to build something using a Vercel AI tool. So you have to build, like, for example, like a dashboard, you have to build an agent, you have to build something to show that you'd be excited about working at Vercel and automating a lot of your job away.
Speeding tickets versus parking tickets. I've heard you throw this around before. I got to know what that means.
It's one of my favorite analogies. It's basically bias for action, right? So we deal with lots of uncertainty every single day. Vercel is a very fast-moving company. We may not at all times have perfect direction for what every single person should do. What we don't want is people sitting still and waiting. That's a parking ticket. You sat still for too long, you didn't move, you exceeded the limit, you were too slow. A speeding ticket is you moved too fast, right? In a chaotic world, you went and did something that perhaps you hadn't fully thought through, or perhaps you hadn't like kept everyone in the loop. Obviously, we always strive to like communicate and do these other things. But for the most part, we would rather have someone move too quickly on something, bias for action, than just sitting around and waiting.
The CFO role has evolved faster than the tools built to support it. Most finance teams are still running infrastructure designed for a job that no longer exists. The reporting, the reconciling, the close that bleeds into the next month or quarter. That's not finance, that's overhead with a really crappy title. And the cost isn't just your time, it's everything your best people aren't doing while they're buried in it. Agentic finance shouldn't multiply your output, it should eliminate the work that was never worth doing in the first place. And that's why I run mostly media on Brex, an intelligent finance platform with AI-powered agents that capture expenses automatically, enforce policy before the spend happens, and close your books in minutes instead of weeks. 35,000 companies like OpenAI, Coinbase, Anthropic, and DoorDash already run on Brex. It's time to get Brex AF. Learn more at brex.com/metrics.